The beginnings of our menu, it's our snacks. The beautiful texture of raw langoustine.
And I just finished with the matcha.
Hi, I'm Mark Donald. We're at the Glenturret Lalique Restaurant at the Glenturret Distillery in Perthshire. So the pan is basically the beginnings of whiskey, you could say. It's barley and water. So we'll make a really, really nice malted barley glaze to glaze our sourdough bread, which is a sort of celebration of the barley in the distillery.
Hi, I'm Kaylee. I'm the pastry chef here at the Glenturret Distillery. Okay, so the bread begins with the barley, the same malted barley that we use in the whiskey production. We use that to create a really nice barley water that we reduce down, and that becomes the glaze for the bread in the end. The bread itself is a malted barley sourdough. We serve it with a house-cultured butter.
The quality of ingredient you put in determines the quality of product you get out. And the same rules apply with the whiskey, quality of the barley and obviously the quality of the water. So I'm going to take you up to our water source right now, Lobster Dish. Welcome to whiskey territory. So the bread that we make in the restaurant is very similar to the whiskey in certain respects. We use the malted barley, we use the water from Loch Turret, and we use natural yeast. We're going to go and meet Ian now. He's the distillery manager. He's going to take us on tour, starting with the barley, all the way through to the whole process, through to the final liquid in the glass.
Hi there, I'm Ian Rennick. I'm the distillery manager here at Glenturret Distillery. Hey Mark, in you come.
Thank you.
3 ingredients for making whiskey. You've got malted barley, water and yeast. And this is the first bit here. This is malted barley we've actually put through the mill.
Smells amazing.
Yeah, it's quite cool, isn't it? From a production point of view, very high in carbohydrates and lots of enzymes in here as well, which is going to help us with the fermentation in particular. So when we bring the malted barley in, it comes in whole, so it's like this. The first thing we have to do is put it through the mill. So you're going to get all your carbohydrates and your sugars in here and in here, and your fibre on the top. So all good. We've got here, this is actually the mill. This is over 100 years old. So an old Porteous mill, which is really sought after in the industry. Only the older distilleries have still got these, but once you make it, you have a Porteous mill, you have it forever, because they do last forever. Beautiful piece of machinery. Slightly less expensive than Mark's cooker. So what we've got here, we've taken our grist, as it's now called, from downstairs. We've brought it up here into the hopper, and this is where we're going to extract the sugars and the enzymes. So ideally at the end of it, we'll get all the right enzymes and a very high amount of sugar coming out as well, so that we can use for making the spirit. Whiskey, it's a very part of the ingredient because there is only 3 ingredients in whiskey. So, and one of them being water. All our water is coming from Loch Turret, which is only about 3.5 miles straight north from here. So we're just going to go through into the tun room and see where the fermentation happens. So this is the only place in the distillery you actually make alcohol.
That's where the magic happens.
This is it.
Smells incredible, huh?
Yeah, it's
really heady.
It's kind of Marmite. It's a love or hate. A lot of people don't like it.
I love the smell.
I absolutely love it. So all we've done is we've taken a grist from next door that we've converted. It's now called wort. So a sugary liquid with lots of enzymes. It's been taken through here just about 18 degrees centigrade. So nice and cool. So we've had to cool it down to get it at that temperature. But the idea being, as you know, when you add yeast gets killed off at a very low temperature. So around about 35 degrees. And we know during fermentation, the temperature is going to naturally increase.
And how long would this stay in here?
4 days, maybe even a little bit longer than that, depending on when it's ready. You know by the smells in this room after the fermentation if it's ready to go through for distillation. What we've got here now, Mark, is we've taken our fermentation from next door and we've taken it through and we're going to distill it now. So we've got all our alcohol, but it's really like a pint of beer at the moment.
Yeah.
And we need to make it much smaller. We need to make it into whiskey. Really love the idea we've kept traditional values here. Because I think making spirit, making whiskey, should be made by people. It shouldn't be made by computers and machinery.
Yeah.
We want to be doing that. Everything is done by hand here.
Yeah.
All the calculations, all the decisions, all the cuts are all done by a person who's had lots of training and is very good at what they do.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the same in the kitchen for us as well. Is, you know, one lemon to the next lemon could taste completely different. One could be sweeter, one could be more acidic. The same with a cut of meat. If someone could chuck it in a water bath for 40 minutes and say, yeah, but I put it in for 40 minutes, doesn't mean anything. And I don't think computers and data can tell you that in the same way that time and experience does, whether it's within a distillery or if it's within a kitchen.
So what we've got here, Mark, is that second distillation, the middle cut.
Okay.
So after that distillation, it's actually up about 71% alcohol by volume. We've had to take it up there just to get the smells and the flavours we're looking for. There's a little bit too strong to put into the cask at that. So we actually reduce it back down with water. So same water as before, take it down to 63.5% alcohol by volume. And that's what we're going to put at the caskets. And this is exactly what we've got here. A little smell of that.
It smells fantastic. I think it's strange to see whiskey in this form.
Yeah.
I think everyone thinks of whiskey as this amber-coloured nectar, but obviously that's coming from the barrels, right?
Exactly. At this point, it's not even called whiskey. So it's called new make spirit. Until it's at least 3 years old, then we can call it whiskey.
Right.
Of course, if it's going to be Glenturret, it's going to be much older than that.
Yeah.
Every whiskey as a minimum has to be 3 years old.
Okay.
And you're right, all the colour is coming from the cask.
Amazing.
Yeah. Slange.
Slange. Cheers.
So Mark, what we've got here is a triple wood. I believe you use this in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we use this, we make a caramel with this for the chocolate dessert.
Yes, it's a beautiful whiskey. There's definitely a smell of the distillery in here, but
Yeah.
we've got the influence of the 3 different types of cask we're using as well.
Yeah.
So a little bit of bourbon, but we've got American wood and European wood. This is definitely a drink I take to a party. You know, so if you're not a whiskey drinker, there's a good chance you might like this. If you are a whiskey drinker, you'll still like it. It's just, it's very mellow. We spend a lot of time just getting this right for that very reason. We don't want it overwhelming. We want it, it's an entry level for us, if you like. But we want it very approachable.
Yeah.
For the next one?
Yeah, let's try this 10-year-old. So, peat smoked, Ian. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, well, what we've got is we actually make 2 types of spirit in distillery, and one is very peated, very smoky. So I can see why you'd want to use this in the kitchen. It gives you loads of different elements coming through. So it's still a lot of the same notes you'd expect in a whiskey. We're still looking for that lovely sweetness coming through, but just with a kick of smoke in behind it as well. But now we're moving on to the 12-year-old. So again, we've got a mix of 2 different casks in here. So this European sherry cask and American sherry cask. And we mix them together in such a way just to emphasise all the notes we can get. Mature for a little bit longer. So we really are getting a lot more the emphasis on the sherry cask coming through here.
It's a big colour difference, huh?
Yeah, massive colour difference, isn't it?
Is that just from time?
Time and cask, yeah. We use very, very good casks as well. So sitting in these casks, you're definitely going to get these vanilla notes coming through, but more importantly and bigger, you're definitely going to get the big Christmas cake effect coming through here. Okay, Slange.
Slange.
Lovely.
Really smooth. The first sequence, or the first set on the lobster dish, is the toddy and the knuckle sandwich. So we've got the pan de mie here, milk bread. Inside we've got lobster mousse, some ginger, spring onion. It's essentially just a really posh prawn toast. I'm going to heat that up in some clarified butter. Then here we have a lobster consomme, a lobster toddy. Clarified the lobster consomme with lobster coral. Absolutely. Okay, that's great. It's going to go straight in the oven. So we've already made a delicious consomme with whiskey as a base. We want to refresh them now. So plenty of pepper, dash of Glenturret 12-year-old, We're going to split that with some of the butter that the lobster has rested in. I'm going to pour that in here, and that's going to get served to the guest at the table.
Lobster tail. We're gonna brush it with a bit of tamarind glaze that we make, and then we're gonna cook it on the coals just to caramelize all those sugars from the tamarind. So that's a good amount of color, and then we're just gonna rest it in here, and in 2-3 minutes it's gonna have rested up to a nice perfect cuisse. And so we're gonna trim it. We're gonna season it with rose petal vinegar that we make and some kaffir lime, and just finish it with a touch of salt.
Put the knuckle sandwich down. Good amount of the lobster ketchup. And that's the first service of the lobster. Second service of lobster. So while the guest is drinking their consomme and eating their sandwich, this arrives. So we have the swede, or neeps, that are cooked in sea buckthorn and turmeric vinegar. Little sauce of baichu kimchi and nduja. Then a little raw pickled disc of neeps, some green coriander seeds, some sobacha, and pink peppercorn. To finish, we have the barbecued lobster that's just been glazed with wild rose vinegar and the kaffir lime. And here we have the beautifully barbecued lobster tail. It's glazed with tamarind, a little bit of wild rose vinegar and some kaffir lime zest, the baichu kimchi and nduja sauce, and some pickled neeps.
Okay, with the lobster, we are currently pairing it with this beautiful Italian wine from the northeast in the Collio region of Friuli, Venezia, Giulia, and with a beautiful deep amber color, a bit of spice, lots of character to work with the spice and the character on the dish. Hello, my name is Claude Millet. I'm the head sommelier here at the Glenturret Lalique restaurant. As head sommelier, I take care, of course, of the beverage program. We have a strong cocktail culture where we try to be as innovative and creative as possible. So I'm going to make one of our signature cocktails that's been on the menu for almost since the opening. It's our new make dirty Martini, showcasing the new make spirit from the distillery, which everyone gets to try on the tour. It's the result of the second distillation straight from the pot still before it sees any time in barrel. So whiskey in its purest or rawest form, you could say. It is quite punchy at 63.5% ABV. Alongside, we use umeshu, which is a Japanese plum wine, at around 12% ABV. So really elegant, really fruity, just brings a little bit of complexity and texture to the cocktail. Some vermouth, of course. We use Cap Goss, the white version from Bastia in Corsica. Has a little more complexity and richness than some of the more standard ones. And of course, some olive brine to top it off and to make it dirty. Stirred down for about 15 to 20 seconds. Get a good dilution, get it nice and chilled, and then pour straight into the glass. And to finish it off, we garnish with a grape, which we have frozen sous pression or under pressure in a small metal keg containing the pre-batch of the cocktail. Blast freeze it, fill the keg right up to the top so that all the liquid freezes into the garnish, into the fruit. So when it defrosts, it takes on all the flavor of the cocktail. So there we have our new make dirty Martini. We've come down to the cellar of the restaurant now, where we stock around about 600 wines from around the world. Good concentration on France and Spain and Italy, of course, and the US. But we represent all 7 continents on the list. This is the wine list here.
So the meal ends with chocolate mille-feuille. It's Kaylee's signature dish. Lots of beautiful tempered chocolate on there, and it's a green coffee and coconut sorbet on the side. Yeah, it's a nice, I think, at the end of a tasting menu, the last thing you want to think of is a chocolate dessert, but it's small and the acid's high, and there's quite a few unusual flavours there as well. So, and then we serve a little whiskey bottle, full, like a miniature bottle with whiskey caramel. It's got -8 maple verjus and a bit of maple syrup. And that's served tableside. The guests can pour as much or as little of that on as they want. I think it worked. So we finished the meal with a sweetie box, or Chalk to Miss Prime, for any Transformers fans out there. At the end of a meal, you're just kind of like, give me the bill, please. You know, if it's a tasting menu and you're full. But we leave it on the table and the staff don't touch it. The guest touches it. And it's like that, and you like wake up again. You know, it's playtime, which is fun. Because some guests stand up or they like pass it about and they're like, ah. So it's at the end of the meal I don't feel like a child maybe, I don't know, to play. Everyone likes to play, everyone likes to have fun. It's an interactive part for the table. We fill it with wine gums and some cast chocolates. We've got one that's always on, which is a 10-year-old peat smoked caramel, some nougats. It's a fun way to finish. When a guest leaves, I want them to not necessarily take anything away. I want them to have potentially left some things here. I want them to have come and left, and the outside world is gone for a bit.